Hello, everyone. My name is Chris, and welcome to the very first episode of Kuli English Podcast. Okay, let's get started. So, first off, I need to be honest about something. This episode might be a little bit boring because I need to introduce myself and the podcast. But don't worry, we have lots of good stories starting from the next episode. So usually in each episode, I tell stories or I talk about something interesting. For example, in one episode, I talk about differences between my life when I lived in the US versus now after I moved to Japan. And in episode 2, I talk about when I got sick and I tried to visit a clinic in Japan. But I messed up and accidentally went to like a hair loss clinic. And, I don't actually have hair loss, but I just had bad Japanese. There's more to that story. It gets pretty crazy, but we'll talk about that in the next episode. But anyways, today is the first episode. So I'm going to do the boring thing and introduce myself and then introduce this podcast too. And I'm doing this boring stuff so that I can help you decide if you want to keep listening to this podcast or if you want to quit and listen to something else. And remember, it's your job to protect your time, meaning you don't want to waste your time. And it's also your job to protect your energy. So if something's wasting your time or your energy, bye-bye, it's time to move on. So if you think this podcast is wasting your time or it's wasting your energy, then I will be the first one to tell you it's okay. Stop listening. You can find something else. But my job is to use all of my power to make good episodes. So my English, my life in Japan, my stories, my jokes, my everything. I'm going to use all that to basically tell you stories in my native English so that you can have fun. And all this is for one goal. And it's not for me to make money. This job basically makes no money. My goal with this podcast is so that you can get some English listening practice. And even if you don't understand all of it, even if you understand like only half of it, well, hopefully we can have a little bit of fun. And if you have fun, maybe you learn something, then you win. And if you win, then I win, everybody wins, okay? So let's take a short little music break before we get started. Okay, and by the way, if you already know who I am or you don't care about studying English, then feel free to just skip this whole episode and go straight to episode 2. But right now, it's boring time. So for the rest of this episode, I'm going to introduce myself and give some advice on studying English. Okay, so here we go, boring time. So my name is Chris, and I was born and raised in the US. I grew up in a small state called Oklahoma, and then I moved to California when I was 18. So actually, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then this won't make any sense. But if you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, like you see the video, then you might be thinking, where are you really from? And this question means like, hey, Chris, you sound white. So you sound like you have a native English accent, but how come your skin color isn't white? And, my skin color is like Asian. It's like a little bit brown, like a little bit yellow. And that's because my parents are Taiwanese, both of them. They're from Taiwan. So I grew up in the US all of my life, and that's why my English is native, and English is my best language. By the way, I grew up in the countryside, like a small town, and there were like no Asians there. So people ask me this question like all the time when I was growing up. They'd say like, where are you really from? Where are your parents from? And I'm used to it. Like, I don't care. But if you have any friends that grew up in the US and they're not white, so their skin color's not white, you can try this on them. It's like a dangerous joke. You can ask them, where are you really from? And make sure you say the really part slowly. Where are you really from? Because you want to make it sound like when they say they're from the US, you don't believe them. If you say it really slowly, it sounds like you think they're lying. But it's a dangerous joke. If they get mad, that's actually like bad. So, maybe don't say it. Anyway, sorry, bad joke. But you can say it to me. I'm okay with it. So anyways, when I was 18, I moved to California to go to college, to go to university. And I went to a place called UC Berkeley. In Japanese, it's California Daigaku Berkeley. And I studied there for 4 years. And my major was called electrical engineering and computer science. So in Japanese, that's 電気工学と computer science. But it's okay. You don't need to know any of that. You don't need to remember any of that. Basically, I studied to become a software engineer. So let's take a short little break here, actually. Okay, so after I graduated from college, after I graduated from university, I worked at Google for about 5 years. And if you don't know what Google is like Google.com, the search engine, and also Gmail and YouTube and a bunch of other stuff. All of that is Google. I didn't work on any of those famous things though. Like my team at Google worked on stuff that nobody knows. And actually, if I talk to people who like work at Google, a lot of the times they also don't know what my team does. Like it's a really big company, so there's a lot of different teams. But people like to ask me, so I'll answer it just once. So people ask me like, "Oh, Chris, what did you work on at Google?" And my answer is, I worked on Cloud Identity and Access Management Zanzibar, which is used for internal ACLing at Google and Google Voice. Did you understand that? No? Well, don't worry, nobody understood that. Okay, so even a native English speaker who worked at Google probably would not understand that. And it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter, and you shouldn't care. And actually, if you're studying English, then in this podcast, there will be a lot of times when I say something and you don't understand something. Maybe I spoke too fast. Maybe you weren't paying attention. It just happens. And what I want you to do is to just not care. Okay, just say, "Shira, I don't know." Just don't care. As long as you understand the main overall meaning, that's good enough. Okay, so let's try that again. Like, Chris, what did you work on at Google? I worked on, I don't know, I don't care. Okay, perfect. That's good. Let's continue. So I worked at Google for 5 years, and then I quit, so no more Google, and then I moved to Japan. And in Japan, I did a bunch of different jobs. I worked at a bar. I worked as an English teacher. I played Fortnite with kids, and that was like a teaching job. The Fortnite job was like definitely the hardest job I've ever done in my life. Like it took the most brain power. And by the way, Fortnite is an online game where you like shoot the enemy like pew 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 pew, and then you wanna be the last one standing. You wanna be the champion. So basically, for that job, I would play Fortnite with Japanese kids, like elementary school kids, and then while we play, it's a eikaiwa, it's an English lesson. So like during the lesson, I would say stuff like Shota-kun, I found a treasure box. Takarabako mitsukatta yo. Do you want it? Shota-kun, hoshii? And then like he'll be like, hoshii. And I'm like, oh, Shota-kun, let's use English. Hoshii って英語だと I want it. I want it って言ってみてくれる？ I want. もう一回 I want it. I want it. Okay, good English, very good. and then, yeah, it was kind of like that. But yeah, definitely, this was the hardest job I've ever done in my life. Like, you got to play the game, which I haven't really played before. You got to teach English, and they don't really care about English. And you got to translate their Japanese into English for them. But anyways, I've done a couple different jobs. And also, I'm fluent in Japanese, which is really useful for living in Japan. I spent a lot of time studying Japanese, but that's a topic for another episode. Actually, let me talk a little bit in Japanese now. Konnichiwa, watashi wa America Jin desu. Takusan no Nihongo o benkyou shimashita no de, ore no Nihongo wa kami desu. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, let me do it for real. はい、皆さん、こんにちは。クリスです。まずは、ここまで聞いてくれてありがとうございます。ここまでの重要なポイントをちょっとまとめてみようと思います。このポッドキャストの中では、わからない単語やフレーズは時々出てしまうんですよ。でも、心配しないでください。あの単語は何だろうということを考えずに、全体的な話がなんとなくわかるようにどんどん聞いていくのが僕のおすすめです。全部の話やジョークを理解したいんだけど理解できないという悔しさは確かにちょっと辛いかもしれないんだけど実はそれはすごくいいモチベーションになるからちょっと我慢して気軽に聞いていきましょう。Alright, so let me say that in English. Hello everyone, I'm Chris. Thanks for listening. I'm going to summarize some important points. So sometimes in this podcast, there are going to be words or phrases that you don't understand. But don't worry. What I recommend is that instead of worrying about, oh, what does this mean? Just try to continue listening to the next thing so that you can try to understand the overall meaning. And actually, if you have a feeling like I want to understand the story, I want to understand the joke, this feeling is actually really, really good for motivation. So bear with me, and let's try to just casually listen without caring too much. Okay, let's take a short little break here. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about the podcast and how I recommend you use it to study English. So, for anything, not just English, but anything, if you spend a lot of time with it, you'll get good at it. For example, if you want to get good at cooking, then the more time you spend cooking, the better you get. It makes sense, right? It's not just time spent in the kitchen. It's also like the time you spend watching YouTube videos, watching how to cook something, or like talking to your mom about how to make some family recipe. If it has anything to do with cooking, it's helping you. And if you spend a lot of time doing that, it's gonna make you better at cooking. And English is the same. If you spend time studying like an English textbook, of course that's gonna improve your English. But there are other things too, like you can watch movies in English. You can play games in English. You can learn English songs and then sing them at karaoke. And this is why, like, if you study abroad or like if you go to, for example, the US for a year, you get pretty good at English. And it's because every day you do stuff in English. If you eat at a restaurant, you have to order in English. If you want to buy toilet paper on Amazon, you have to do it in English. Okay, but what if you can't study abroad? What if you're in your home country and you have no English speaking friends? Well, that's why I made Kuli English Podcast. So the whole point of this podcast is I talk about stuff in my native English, and then you get English listening practice. So this is English input. Okay, this counts as studying English, but there's more to it. Okay, my goal has like two parts. One, I try to make it really easy to understand. So if I use an extremely difficult vocabulary word, so if I use a very hard word, I usually paraphrase it. So I say it again using different, easier words. And goal number two is I just try to make it fun by telling good stories. So it's like a prize. If you understand it, then yay, haha, it's funny and you have fun. But if you don't understand it, well, you miss out on some fun because maybe you don't get the joke, but at least you got a little bit of listening practice. And by the way, again, if you don't understand it, it's okay to just skip it. If you pause the episode and then you look something up and you come back and resume, then this is like probably too much and you're going to get tired. And I don't want you to get tired. Okay. I don't want you to work that hard just to listen to this podcast. So, if you really, really, really want to understand the joke or you want to look something up, then yeah, you can do it a little bit. But my recommendation is just the easiest thing to do is you just say, huh? What was that? I don't know. And then you move on. So basically what I'm saying is this podcast can be listening practice for you. And not only that, but it's a podcast. So you don't actually need to watch the video. You can just listen. You can listen while you do other stuff. For example, you can listen on the train. You can listen while you're driving. You can listen while you wash the dishes. You can listen at the gym. Basically anywhere where you could listen to music, you can potentially instead listen to this English podcast. And I'm not saying like you shouldn't listen to music. If you want to listen to music, then listen to music. But if you have the energy and you're thinking, I'm ready for some English time, then go ahead and listen to this podcast. Okay, so that's going to be it for this episode. And if you thought this episode was boring, first, I'm sorry. And second, give me just one more chance. So try listening to just one more episode. And if you still don't like it, then it's totally okay. You can stop listening. I'm not going to be mad. But remember, I want you to protect your time and your energy because you need those to live your life. But if you like this, if you like this episode, you like this podcast, well, we're going to have a lot of fun together, and I'll be releasing a new episode every Tuesday, every single week. So I hope you had a good time, and thank you, and I hope to see you in episode 2.